You guys have had already an amazing, empowering day, and my hope is that to add to it. I will tell you, I know that when you come into these types of conferences, it's great, you're out of school, some of you are being acknowledged for changes that you've made, which is wonderful. Some of you also then still feel the same thing that we go through. Sorry. I'll put it back, I promise. But some of you, again, on days like this, also stop and realize this is all we hear from adults anymore. We're so sick and tired of hearing about bullying and cyberbullying. Seriously, get over it. It's the way it is. How many of you are sick and tired of hearing about those words, truthfully? Tired of hearing about those issues? Okay. I understand that we talk about it when adults find out about a topic that's going on and we worry about kids, we pound it into the ground. We really do. We just continue to keep talking about it. But here's the thing. I don't care what you guys call it. I don't care if you're dealing with drama. I don't care if it's conflict. I don't care if it's harassment. I don't care if it's cruel, if it's mean, whatever those words are. How many of you deal with drama at home, at school, whether it's at work, on the practice field? How many of you deal with drama daily? So that's the thing. I don't care how you spell it, what you call it. We deal with issues. And so from that, my hope is today to not lecture you, because that's not what I'm here to do. At the end of the day, you guys make your choices, and you decide what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. My hope is that maybe through this story, maybe it will get some of you to stop and think about the things that we do say that we don't think are a big deal, the things that we text to another person or comment on because it's funny, because we want to be part of everybody else and we don't want to stand on the outside. We don't realize the things that we do and say how it can truly affect another person. I started the foundation because of my daughter Megan. Now I live in O'Fallon, Missouri. I grew up in St. Charles County, so this is an area where I come all of the time. It took me literally 35 minutes to get here. I started the foundation because of Megan. Megan was born on November 6th of 1992. Megan was a normal, everyday kid, went to a public elementary school in O'Fallon, Missouri. But Megan, from a very early age, suffered from self-esteem. This wasn't something that she was taught or learned. It was something that Megan internally felt. Megan was a taller girl, but Megan would come home to me and say, "Mom, the other girl's legs are smaller than mine. Mom, the other girls are prettier than me." And I, of course, would say, "Megan, honey, come on, we're all different. We're built differently. It's okay, you're beautiful from the inside and out." How many of you hear that from people that love you and you just roll your eyes when they say, "You're perfect the way you are"? And it's kind of like, yeah, right. I've been on a diet since I was in 7th grade. I haven't worried about my weight. So it doesn't matter if my mom at 42 years old, I'm 42, and my mom can say to me, "Tina, you look great today." I'm the first person that will say, "Yeah, right, you know, I got 10 more pounds to lose, I could do this, I could do that." It's what we feel inside. And so no matter what I tried with Megan to try to build that up within her, it didn't seem to work. Megan was struggling quite a bit in 3rd grade, crying at night, and I couldn't figure out what the heck to do. I mean, I tried putting her to bed earlier, but that wasn't working. I sat down on her bed one night and said, "Meg, talk to me, what's going on?" Megan said she wanted to kill herself. For a 3rd grade child saying this, I was petrified. I thought, how does she even know what this word means? I mean, I don't even know what to say to her. I panicked. I ran into my bathroom. I stopped for 10 minutes trying to figure out, I don't even know what to do with her. I calmed down, went back in and sat down in her bed and said, "Meg, talk to me. What is going on?" Megan finally told me, she said, "Mom, I hate myself. Everybody hates me." I needed to know, did Megan really know what that word meant, or did maybe Megan overhear it? And I was praying that Megan overheard it. Megan knew exactly what the word suicide meant. Megan knew exactly what she was going to do. As parents, we're not trained for these things. We're trained to fix, bruises and cuts and breaks and sadness and your tears and all of those things. But when it comes to this topic, I had no clue what to do. I slept with her that night because I was so scared. I took her to the pediatrician the next morning. I literally wanted to put her in that room, close the door, and tell them to just fix her, just make her okay, and give her back to me. The doctor looked at me and said, "Tina, listen, this is above me. She needs to go to a specialist that deals with adolescents and psychology and psychiatry. I can't do this." That's not as easy as it sounds, just going to a doctor. It takes a while, and over a long period of time, Megan was finally diagnosed with depression and attention deficit disorder, or ADD. Here's the thing. In the world that we live in today, there is this huge stigma against mental illness. It is one of those things you can't see on the outside. When we see somebody has Down syndrome or a physical disability, you can physically see that. When it comes to internally things like depression and ADD and Asperger's, we don't see those things. And I will tell you, kids who have them, adults who have them, a lot of times are socially awkward. We're different. And how can I tell you that? Is because I have ADD. I didn't realize I had it until my late 30s. But I was the kid, when I went back and you look at school, and all of my school years, I was the kid who didn't comprehend. Tina, you're not paying attention. Tina, you're not applying yourself. Tina, you're reading this, but you're really being rude. That's disrespectful because you don't answer the questions after it. Here's the thing. I could sit there and read in front of the teacher the exact paragraph. I would read it, and then they would ask me the question. When the question would come, I would have no clue what I just read. And I wasn't being rude or disrespectful. I just literally, my brain was thinking of 10 other things. I was thinking about other things that were going on. Not like, if I was going to paint my nails. I was thinking about, did I get the project done in the next class? Do I have practice after school? All of these things going on. Megan struggled with that. And a lot of times kids who have, especially ADD, ADHD, Asperger's, are very impulsive. They are the kids who a lot of times will be the class clowns because they get attention, they do goofy things, they speak out. They're the ones that will stand in the middle of a lunchroom and sing a song, and they know they're going to get in trouble, but everybody's laughing, and so they think it's great and funny. Megan went through counseling and therapy and all of those things, and she got into middle school. Middle school was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Huge school district. Now, Megan was not a perfect kid. I will tell you, Megan made mistakes like all of us have done. But Megan truly did have a big heart. And in 6th grade, Megan would get in trouble quite a bit. And why? Because Megan saw things as black and white. They were right or wrong. So what I would do is I would get calls from the school that would say, Miss Meier, we've got Megan in the office today. And I would think, great, what is it now? Well, 2 girls were arguing in the hallway. Megan went up and told the one girl to knock it off. Then Megan went and told a teacher. Megan is tardy for class, and now Megan is sitting outside of class in my office. She can't afford that. Megan needs to mind her own business. Mind her own business, pay attention to her, don't worry about what other people are doing. I loved Megan, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to those other kids, but I grew up in that world of, Megan, worry about you, honey. Don't worry about what's going on around you. Handle you, handle yourself, and things will be okay. How many of you still hear that today, in school and at home? Pay attention to you. There's a huge problem with that in our society. It's what we all do. We are all so focused on how it affects me. How is this, if I step outside of the box, how is it going to affect me, or how is it going to affect somebody else? Because we don't think about that person that's over there. Megan did the right thing. I was wrong. The school was wrong. Megan didn't go up and scream and yell and start dodging her head everywhere and cussing and pushing and shoving. She didn't do any of that. Megan went up and said, listen, knock it off. I will tell you, if within school, within the rest of your life, you come across situations, there are times when we do have to mind our own business because some things are not our problems. But if you see something that's going on that is hurting the person doing it, whether it's physical or verbally, hurting another person or hurting you, you have absolutely every right to stand up, use your voice in the right way, not push and shove, but tell somebody to knock it off. Tell your friends to knock it off, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, knock it off, your parents sometimes, knock it off. It's not okay. That's not funny. And you have to use your voice to do that. Megan entered 7th grade, her picture in the very center. Megan thought she was the ugliest, grossest, fattest girl by far. Why? 7th grade boys thought it would be hilarious to start stomping behind her that year, calling her a fat cow and an elephant, making noises behind her. Megan never came home and told me about this. Really, you guys don't run home and tell mommy and daddy about the things kids call you? It's embarrassing. And a lot of times you just want to let it go, because if you let it go, maybe they won't keep doing it. I found out because her lunch account wasn't coming down, and I kept asking her, Meg, are you eating lunch? And she's like, yeah, Mom, I'm eating lunch. I went up to school one day and I peeked in. I saw her sitting at a table with a water bottle and a napkin. Everybody else was eating. She came home that day and said, Meg, you're not eating lunch, talk to me. She's like, yeah, I am, Mom. I'm like, Meg, no, you're not. I saw you. What is going on? Finally, she told me what the boys were doing. What did I do? Again, I love Megan as much as any parent can love their child. I said, Megan, honey, come on. Don't worry about what they're saying about you. Seriously, that doesn't mean anything. That's not who you are, Meg. If you ignore them, they will get bored and tired and they will move on. Just ignore it. When I told Megan just ignore it, she looked at me and said, Mom, could you do it if it was you? And here's the thing, a lot of times as adults, we truly have forgotten, we know if we sat down and thought about it, what it was like to be in school, but we have forgotten about those things, the everyday things that you guys go through. Because what we do is think about, as teachers, they think about your curriculum, how to get you through class, how to get you to pass, all of these things that have to be done. As parents or guardians, they're thinking about making sure you get to the doctors, making sure you're dressed to go to school, you go to practice, you do this, you have food in your mouth. We're thinking of all of these other things. So when we say just ignore it, it's not that we don't care. It's just that we're not truly stopping for a minute and hearing what you're saying. We're just kind of, and it feels like to you guys, we brush you off. And I can understand that because here's the thing. For adults in this room, if we thought about it this way, there's no way that we could have all the students leave and after this conference sit down and as part of it say, okay, we're going to sit down in a group with all the adults. We're going to talk about what went right, what went wrong, and we need to, at the end of this day, come up with some ideas for next year's conference. If during that time you had another person, another adult that sat there and started tapping their fingers like, oh my God, seriously? Let's go. Rolling their eyes, shrugging their shoulder at you, tapping the back of your chair. They're not physically hitting or pushing you. They're not calling you out, calling you verbal, horrible names. But there's no way that any of us as adults could handle that stuff. We would be sitting there, depending on our personality, we would either say, I don't deal with conflicts, kind of get up and try to remove ourselves, or we might be the type of person that uses our voice and says, listen, what is going on? What's the problem? Have I done something to you? But we wouldn't want to stay there. If they came in and said, as a committee, absolutely don't worry about what they're doing. Ignore it. Just sit down. It's fine. If you ignore it, it's going to go away. Don't worry about it. I will tell you, as adults, the majority of us would not learn one thing. The majority of us would not comprehend what was being said in that meeting or what we were going to be doing for next year. Because when we are under that type of stress, it is hard for us to concentrate on anything other than what another person is doing. And that is what, a lot of times, the difference between you guys in school and as adults, we have really lost that understanding of what you guys go through. The other thing I said to Megan was, I said, you're right, that's not going to work, Meg, so I'm going to the school. I've got to go talk to them. You can't keep going through this. Megan seriously looked at me like I was nuts now. She grabbed me by the arm and she's like, Mom, please, I'm begging you don't go to school. You're going to make this 10 times worse than me. I'm like, but Megan, I have to help you. I mean, what do you want me to do? She said, Mom, I can do it on my own. Here's the thing, most people, they're in a conflict, you're going to have two people. Unless they have multiple personalities, you're going to have two people, right? You're going to have a bully or bullies, you're going to have a victim or victims. They have to call everybody in, whether you're in your age group or as an adult. They call everybody in to get the story. Most of the time, that bully or bullies are not going to walk out of that office with the gates of heaven opening, the light shines down, and all of a sudden they're a newfound person. And they have a new outlook on life, and they're going to make everything, in their possible in their life to make your life good. Most of the time they come out pretty ticked off, pretty aggravated, pretty frustrated. Sometimes, not always does that happen. Sometimes people do realize. But a lot of times they're ticked off and mad. And then what ends up happening is they come back to you, and they usually try to get you a little bit harder, or they try to get other people around to get to you. How many of you would say that's true? Raise your hands. So a lot of times when we as adults try to get you guys to come talk to us, it's why a lot of times you keep quiet because you think we make it worse. With Megan at this point in time, I tried letting her figure it out and work on her own. But what did I see Megan doing? Megan was asking me to buy her candy and little, goodie bags and markers and stickers and all kinds of goofy stuff. And she was taking them to school. And I'm like, okay, Meg, who are you giving these to? And she's like, my friends, Mom. I'm decorating their lockers or I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay. Another month went by and she was asking me to buy more stuff. I gave it to her. I'm like, Meg, what are your friends that you're giving it to? I mean, Megan had friends. And she told me the name of these girls. Well, these were the popular girls. These were the girls that were friends with the boys who were making fun of her. She was even giving stuff to these boys. I, as a mom, thinking, wait a minute, my hard-earned money, you're giving this candy to the kids who are making fun of you? What the heck is your problem? I said, Meg, come on, that's not friendship. A friend is there through good and through bad, not for what you're going to give them. If that's what they're doing, Meg, they're using you. Well, Megan gave me the typical hand of like, Mom, seriously, come on, they are my friends. You don't get it. Megan was begging during the same time to get out of gym. Gym was not the easiest place in the world to be. If you have to put on shorts and t-shirts to participate, and you are, as a boy or girl, worried about your height, worried about your body, you're not very athletically inclined, it can be rough. Megan begged me, would pre-write notes like wanting me to sign it saying Megan's ankle hurts, Megan's stomach hurts. She could come up with a list, let me tell you. But I knew she was fine, and I thought she just didn't want to sweat and be gross. I'm like, Meg, come on, honey, just go to gym. Well, girls later found Megan in the gym locker room a lot of days. Megan would sit there and cry. Kids would laugh at calling her thunder thighs, and whoever said their names. That's why Megan didn't want to go to gym. Megan didn't tell me about this. Why? Probably because the way I reacted before, which was, Meg, just ignore it, honey, or I'm going to go to the school and handle it. Bottom line, as a parent, I couldn't take this anymore. I mean, I couldn't see. She cried every morning going to school, cried every afternoon. I didn't know what to do anymore. We switched her to a private school for her 8th grade year. Not because I thought this private school was going to be perfect and everybody was going to love each other. Not at all. It was because it went from a huge school down to a smaller school. It was like 60 kids per grade. It was uniforms, no makeup, no fingernail polish, no jewelry, and believe me, Megan did not like that. But I will tell you, we just wanted to change for her. And in between that summer of 7th and 8th grade, Megan started working out. She started losing weight. She started a volleyball team at their new school, making new friends, and this kid that was going through those awkward middle school years. And you guys know in high school how awkward you were when you were in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. 8th grade started getting better. But 6th and 7th grade, you look back at those pictures and you're like, oh my gosh, did I really wear my hair like that? Did I really look like that? Are you serious? I had braces, they're awkward years. And so Megan started this transformation. This kid started turning into this beautiful young girl, and she was finally seeing what I had always seen on the inside and outside of her. She was finally starting to see that. Starting that 8th grade year, Megan this kid was nuts. I mean, she had the most amazing sense of humor. I'm telling you, the kid could make me laugh till I literally had tears rolling down my face. She loved scary movies. She loved messing around with people. Megan loved music. Do any of you girls ever remember loving Jessie McCartney when you were younger? Yeah, Megan loved Jessie McCartney when she was younger. To give you Megan's favorite song, just so you know her personality, was Pop, Lock, and Drop It. That was Megan's song. I'm not even joking you. That kid would blast the song. She would be watching the video. She'd put on high heels. She'd practice it up and down the hallway. And for a white girl, Megan could move, but she was not going to be a J-Lo hip-hop dancer at all. But this kid was nuts. It was awesome. I mean, she was finally smiling and goofy and happy again. And about 3 weeks into that 8th grade year, Megan came home to me and she's like, Mom, can I have a MySpace? Please, everybody's got a MySpace. I was one of the moms that watched Dateline and How to Catch a Predator in 2020. I watched all those things. So I was worried about sexual predators. So I said, Meg, there's sexual predators out there. She, of course, rolled her eyes at me and was like, Mom, seriously, come on. Everybody's got it. What's the big deal? I said, Meg, let me think about it. I mean, I was the same mom that, I don't know if any of you had parents or grandparents that ever did this to you, but if you walked into like a Walmart store where there's like the missing kids posters, like where they'd stop and point at it, and I'd say, Megan, listen, do you see those kids they're missing? This is why you stay with me. You do not leave my side. You stay by the cart. Do not leave my side. Did any of you have the families that did that? Yeah, I was one of those crazy moms. So I thought about it, and I wanted Megan to be a part of what everybody was doing, but I was worried. And so I came up with these rules, and you guys are going to think, lady, you are out of your mind. The first rule was Megan did not have the password to her account. I had the password. Her profile was kept private. I had to prove everything that went on a page, so like images and layouts and all that. Why? Because if you guys remember, especially during your probably late elementary and into middle school years, you guys know what those profile pictures were. They were the girls who had, bras or tank tops on with a sucker with a pouty face and the peace sign. And then boys did about 100 sit-ups really quick and lifted their shirts and they had the ab shot. Those were the two profile pictures that were out there all of the time. So I was like, there's no way in the world this is happening. I also had to make sure computers were in open space that's never allowed in a private space or a bedroom. And I also had a program that monitored every instant message and every web page Megan went on. Now, believe me, this was not hidden from Megan. I didn't hide it from her. I told her she did not like me. I'm sure she called me a few names under her breath. But Megan was like, Mom, seriously, you're a warden of a prison. I'm like, Meg, but I love you. I'm protecting you. She's like, yeah, right, whatever. How many of you are thrilled I was not your mom with all those rules? I get it. I do get it. I was petrified back then. I've got a daughter who's a junior in high school right now. Does she have the same rules? No, she doesn't. Do I have a password to her accounts? Yes. Do I look at them every day? No, I don't. I wanted to do it for Megan because Megan was the type of kid who did things before she thought about it. Megan was the type of kid who believed everybody had good intentions. If I would say, Megan, do not walk down that hall and you go to the right, it's going to be a 100-foot drop-off. If some boy said, Megan, you know what, no, there's not a drop-off, everything's fine, I would have my back barely turned, Megan would be right at the edge. It was who that kid was. And I did it to try to protect her, not to make her life miserable. So Megan started this MySpace, started adding friends from her old school, friends from her new school, and she was getting ready for her 14th birthday. She was all excited. And about 3 weeks in, she gets a friend request from a boy by the name of Josh Evans. And Megan called me over the computer all excited. She's like, Mom, hurry, come look at this. I went and looked. I'm like, Meg, who is it? She's like, Mom, I don't know. He's hot. Can I add him? I'm like, well, Meg, that's great. Is he a friend of a friend, or do you know him somehow? She's like, Mom, I have no clue. He's just hot, so please. Megan loved boys from preschool all the way through. She never went through the young boy stage. She always liked him. So for her to say boys hot was nothing. I was like, okay, Meg, here's the deal. I'll let you add him. Anything negative, anything sexual, and he's deleted immediately. The reason was this. How many of you, through the years of MySpace and your Club Penguins, I'm sure you remember those, and all of those, yeah, all of those from way back in the day, Facebook, all of that, how many of you know somebody who has made up a fake account to find out about another person? A boyfriend, a girlfriend, a friend? That's the reason why. Because I knew if Megan wanted to figure it out, Megan was going to go behind my back. She was going to go to a friend, a library. She would have figured it out to add him. At least this way I could monitor it. So Megan started talking to Josh. Josh started commenting on Megan's pictures, told her that she was beautiful, had a great smile, and how much he liked her. And Megan liked him, and he liked her. And I looked, and it says they're in this relationship. I'm like, what? Meg, how in the world can you be in a relationship? You don't even know this person. This could be a 10-year-old kid playing a game. This could be an 80-year-old grandma. Come on. Megan laughed at me and gave me the hand. She's like, Mom, seriously, you don't get it. So for Megan, I was like, Meg, seriously, that's fine. You like him, he likes you, but you can't be in a relationship. Of course she rolled her eyes at me. Megan talked about goofy things. One of the things she absolutely adored was her puppy dog, and his name is Barry White. Barry White is a little 5-pound chihuahua. And Megan adored him. I mean, the girl she didn't care that he was a boy. She'd dress him in a tutu. She'd dress him in a Bob Marley shirt. She'd dress him as a bumblebee. She did not care. The girl was crazy. And so at this time, things were going really well. About another few weeks, now her and Josh really liked each other in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, it really kind of dwindled to a friendship. And about 5 weeks had passed. And Megan now at this point had bought her dress for her party. Megan loved black and white polka dots. It's the theme for our foundation. Megan would paint her fingernails and toenails black and white polka dots on weekends and wear ribbons in her hair. And she found this adorable black and white polka dot dress to wear for her birthday party. So now it's 5 weeks. It's Sunday night, October 15th, 2006. And Megan had 2 volleyball games that morning. And that evening, asked to sign into MySpace, she was filling out a birthday invitation. So I did. And she got a message from Josh that said, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. You're not a nice person. It's not a horrible message. Megan was just kind of like, okay, where did this come from? So she responded back and said, what are you talking about? What are you meaning? And there was no response. She sent it again. I said, Meg, honey, it's late. You've got to sign off. The next morning, Megan wakes up for school. She's all excited, all of her invitations together. But on the way to school, Megan would at times ask me to stop and stop at the gas station. And what she would do is run in and pick up 2 Hershey candy bars. One would be for her, one would be for a friend or somebody who was having a bad day. So one of her girlfriends was upset over a boy, so she had me stop. She got that, and she gave that to the girl that day. I pick her up from school that afternoon. She comes running out. She's like, Mom, everybody's coming to the party. It's going to be totally cool. We're doing all of these things. The minute we get home, the second we walk into the door, Megan instantly wants to know, Mom, can I sign into MySpace? She wants to see what Josh had to say. Did he respond? I said, Meg, you can for a few minutes, but I've got to take your sister to the orthodontist. So I signed her on, and the message that came in from the night before from Josh to Megan said, you heard me. No one likes you. No one wants to be friends with you. Megan started going back like, why are you saying this? Where is this coming from? I'm not mean to people unless they're mean to me. I mean, what are you talking about? So I heard her younger sister, who was 10 and a half at the time, get off the bus, and I yelled at her and I said, Meg, you've got to sign off, I've got to leave. She said, Mom, please let me finish this last message, and I will. Typically, I never did that, but I was in a rush this day. Her dad was upstairs sleeping. So I left. I called Megan 2 different times from the orthodontist office. Both times, the first time she was crying. The second time she was sobbing to the point I couldn't even hardly understand her, and I kept telling her, please get off my space, please, I will be home. Going home as a mom, I was frustrated. I had been running all day. It was homework now, dinner, all of the things that had to be going on. I walked in the door and Megan is still sobbing at the computer, and I told her to get up. I started looking at these messages that went from Megan, or from Josh to Megan, Megan to Josh. Josh got 2 other girls involved. It's so much easier to get other people involved in these situations. The messages that went back and forth, they were humiliating, cruel, mean. They used her first name, last name. It wasn't good enough just to use a name. They had to use the whole name so everybody knew who they were talking about. So you understand where it turned from just, I don't like you, or no one likes you, which were hurtful but not devastating. It turned into the nicest things I can tell you, said Megan Meier's a fat ass, Megan Meier's a whore, and those were the nicest words that went out about her. I looked at these things, and now Megan had been defending herself, trying to fight back to them. I'm like, Megan, come on, I told you. Them going after you, you going after them, it's never going to work. I said, if you would have listened to me, if you would have signed off when I told you to, it wouldn't turn into this huge war. I said, Meg, you're not any of these things that they're calling you. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, who's going to believe me? They're going to believe them. It's going to everybody at my old school, everybody at my new school. No one's going to believe me. She said, you're supposed to be my mom, you're supposed to be on my side. She took off running upstairs to her room. I heard her dad stop her for a few minutes at the top of the stairs, and I went up into the kitchen to talk to him. He was one of those dads that he did not like she had a MySpace, he didn't like the fact that she had a camera, a cell phone, he didn't think she needed any of that, so he didn't understand anything that was going on. And I was trying to explain to him, and probably 20 minutes went by. And I just had this horrible feeling that ran through my entire body. I stopped in mid-sentence. I took off running upstairs to Megan's room, opened the door, and I found Megan hanging in her closet. We called 911. Her 10-and-a-half-year-old sister came home in the midst of all of it. Megan was lifeless. The paramedics got her to start breathing again and got her heart started again, but Megan was in a coma. Megan was transferred to Children's Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. But on October 17th, 24 hours later, Megan passed away. And I will tell you, as a parent, there's absolutely no other pain that is as horrible as losing a child. We plan and prepare to take care of you and worry about you. We want to see you fulfill your dreams and drive and go to prom and graduate high school and go to college and have your own family one day. Those are the things we want. And I know you get frustrated with us. I know you think we do not let you have any life on your own. We're always in your business. We want to know where you're at, what you're doing, with who you're talking to. We talk to you about drugs and sex and alcoholism. We talk to you about all those things. We pound it in your head, and the reason we do is because none of your parents want to stand where I'm standing. They don't want to be in my shoes. They want to see you succeed. That is the one thing we want to see you do. And I will tell you, if you have parents or guardians or grandparents, whoever you look to raise you and you trust, if they do that to you and they want to know where you're at and they ask you questions, go home and love them today. Tell them that you love them. Give them a hug. You might not get it today, but the moment that you have your own family, you will understand how we feel and how we are petrified when you walk out the door because we just want you to be okay. When we left the hospital that night, we were trying to breathe. I mean, how do you breathe when this happened? It was one floor up. We were all home. How does this happen? Her dad went back to the house to look to see, was there a note? Was there something that we missed? There was no note that Megan left. But what he saw was the last 2 messages sent to Megan on instant messaging, not MySpace, because the MySpace account was almost deleted at this point. 24 hours later, it was almost gone. The last 2 messages to Megan on instant messaging said, the world would be a better place without you and have a shitty rest of your life. Those were messages I didn't see the night before. Now I will tell you, how many of you, or ask you, how many of you have seen that, heard it face to face, through social media, through text? How many of you have seen those types of words that have gone back and forth? We say things out of hate. We say things out of hurt. We say things out of embarrassment, out of anger, out of different emotions. We say things to people that we don't truly wish to happen. But we say them, and when we say them, it for just that moment makes us feel better for a second, but it circles right back around because it doesn't change the situation that happened. And so when you use those words, those few words that you can say to somebody, you do not have control over them once they're gone, because that's what that person takes in. And so when you say those words, I don't want any of you to ever live with those types of words being sent out, said out of your mouth, or being typed, text, or commented on. Because if something ever happens, we always hope that there is no more suicide in this world. We always hope there's no more tragedy. But if something should happen, are you prepared to be able to live with the things that you said to another person? Live with the things that you had texted, that you have commented, you have uploaded? Are you prepared to live with those mean, negative things that you said for the rest of your life? Because one day you'll probably have a family. And if it was your family going through it, I guarantee you, it would be too hard to look in the mirror to realize the things that you've done and said. The positive thing is, you have today to make that change. You always have the ability to start and change the way you are and the things that you say to other people and how you react. The thing is, Megan lived 40 minutes from you guys. Megan, probably, I know we took her over into Alton. We used to have a boat, and we would go down to the Alton Marina, and then we would go down to the block parties. Megan was up and down these streets. We would go eat over at Tony's restaurant. We did all of those things. She was around here all the time. They are real people. The kids that you interact with every single day are real. They have people that love them, that care about them, they have feelings. And my whole purpose of coming here today is not to make the situation sad, not to put a damper on everything that you guys are doing and learning and all of the amazing things. It is exactly what the title of this is to empower you to realize the things that we do every single day, that we sometimes don't think is a big deal that affects another person, but it truly does. There are a lot of people out there that say, come on, with what Megan went through, why did she care what people said about her? Why didn't she just, turn the computer off, delete and walk away? Why don't some people do that? Because we are all different. Because if I walked in here today and I said every single person, and I used to do it different things, but then people would get their feelings hurt because they look at the color of their shirts and be like, what? So every single person who walks in here today who is wearing a dress like mine is a freak. You're gross. I don't think you take showers, you stink, you're nasty. It's gross. Some of you might be able to say, lady, I don't care what you say. I know who I am. And you blow it off. But then there are going to be others of you that are going to try to act like it's not a big deal, laugh it off, but inside, internally, you're thinking, why would she say that? I mean, does my hair look gross? Am I dressed kind of weird today? What's wrong? And so you sit there and you carry that around, but the thing is, we don't wear badges that tell what you can deal with one day and what you can't deal with the next day. And so when you're saying these things, even though to you it might not be a big deal, your words, your actions, your texts, your comments can truly be a big deal to another person, because at the end of the day, guess what? We don't know what their home life is like. We don't talk about those things. Now here's the thing. You guys have already sat here and saw me standing here. I've been here for about an hour, walking around, and I've been up here talking to you guys for a bit. You guys have already made some sort of an assumption about me. Whether you think that, lady, yeah, I'm sorry, but you don't know my life. You don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what I deal with at home. You have no clue. Or, I can't stand your hair, or I can't stand your voice, or whatever it may be. You've came up with some sort of an idea of who you think I am, where you think I'm from, what you think I do. The thing is, the only thing you know about me is what I've told you today. You don't know what I've gone through. You don't know if I lived this privileged life, and poor Tina went through this and she had to kind of come out of it, or if I lived a really troubled life. Because we don't ask people those questions, we judge from the outside. If each and every one of you, how many of you can identify somebody within your school that gets picked on, whether it's verbally, physically, or non-verbally, isolation, left out, rumors? So here's the thing. If each and every one of them, because we don't get to know people very well, especially if they look a little bit different, act a little bit different, they have different sexual orientation, if they do this or do that, because it's not the norm. It's kind of, we want to stay where everything seems normal, where everybody thinks that's cool, and then anybody on the outside of it is kind of like, stay away, because, they're kind of freaks, they're a little bit weird, they're a little bit different, they, sing sing songs, do this. So we stay away. But the thing is this, if every single one of them got up on stage and were able to say, this is who I am, this is what I go through, you might think differently about them. See if it rings true and if you look differently at me at this point. At the age of 9, I had the perfect life. My mother and father adored each other. That doesn't happen a lot in this world. My dad, though, at the age of 29, came home from work. I had a younger brother who was 4 years younger than me. My dad came home from work and he thought he had the flu. He stood up when we were all having lunch and fell on the ground and had a grand mal seizure. They called the paramedics. They came. They took him to the hospital and found out my dad had a brain tumor. At 29 years old, they did surgery on him, but when they did the surgery, they paralyzed. They hit 2 nerves, paralyzed the right side of his body. He was a 6'3" guy, 240 pounds. He was a big man. And they also hit his speech. So now at 29 years old, he's disabled, and he was told that he had 6 months to live. From the brain tumor, it was cancerous, there was nothing they could do. During this period of time, we go through all of that, the chemo and all of the things that are happening. And some of these things, I'm sorry, we go through these things. And then my brother, I got into middle school, and I didn't talk to people about this stuff. I didn't tell them what was going on, because it's too hurtful, it's too painful, and I'm afraid somebody's going to make fun of me. So then my brother, who was 4 years younger than me, and now was in 2nd grade, I was in middle school. Tony went to the doctor because they thought he needed glasses, but they found out that Tony didn't need glasses. Tony had a brain tumor. It wasn't related to my dad's at all. Tony's was completely different. Tony was in Children's Hospital, my dad was in Barnes Hospital. During this time, I never went to school and told anybody about what I was going through, what my home life was like, because I was petrified they were going to think we were freaks. Something was wrong with us. Why is this going on? Your dad has a patch on his head and he's sick and your brother's going through this. Something's wrong with this family. I'm staying away. And we all know that when people know really what's bothering us or going through, we pick the worst things to get at somebody. We pick the things that hurt us the most, our family, the people we care about. I entered high school. Now, I didn't let my dad drop me off at the front. My dad was still living. I didn't let him drop me off at the front of high school because I was petrified if anybody saw him, they would make fun of me and laugh at me. I didn't let my dad answer the door or answer the phone, because if he answered the phone, it would have sounded like he was drinking because he slurred when he talked. My dad died when I was 15. And I will tell you, I was so mad and angry at the world. I thought, why me? This isn't fair. Everybody else is running around, and because I didn't know their stories, I assumed that everybody else's life was perfect. Everybody else's parents are there, and their brothers, their family's not destroyed and falling apart like mine. This isn't fair. It's not okay. And I was they wanted me to go into counseling. I was not going to go to counseling because my thought is, if I'll go to counseling if my dad comes back. If you can't promise my dad to come back and my family to be okay, then forget it. What are you going to do? What can you fix for me? You can't fix anything. And that was my mentality. I was ticked off. And so what did I do for that solid year? I took it out on everybody else. I was rotten. I was mean. I was sarcastic. I was rude to teachers. I didn't care. I wouldn't take tests. I did nothing because I literally was so miserable that I didn't see anything else around it. Thank goodness, here's the thing, no matter what good I do in my world today, no matter how hard I fight, no matter how much I do, I can't go back and change what I did. I can't go back and change to what I said to those people. I can tell them I'm sorry, but I can't take back the way I made them feel during that time. The thing is this, I eventually worked through things. I eventually, thank goodness, went into counseling. Then I get married and have 2 amazing kids, and Megan takes her own life in 2006, and I thought, this is it. This is enough tragedy in our family. I'm done. And my brother, who finally had survived his tumor, was doing well, got married, but 3 years ago, Tony goes in to get back surgery. It was emergency back surgery, came out. 12 hours later, Tony went into cardiac arrest and died. So my only sibling, gone. And I stand here and tell you that at 42, I've lost the 3 most important people in my life. My brother, my daughter, and my father. And I don't tell you for you to feel sorry for me. I tell you for you to understand that we all go through things that we don't come out and tell people about. And on the outside, we try to act like everything is okay, but the inside we are destroyed. And sometimes we lash out at other people when we do those things. And And I want you to understand that maybe those people that you know within school that do get picked on or laughed at or mocked or whatever it may be, you don't know their story. And some of you might understand and relate to this story. Some of you might not at all, and some of you might have it worse. But we live in a world that's imperfect. We don't have perfect families. We have parents who are divorced. Some kids don't even know who their parents are. Some live in foster care or with other family members. Some of us have parents who are alcoholics, abuse drugs. Some are dealing with diseases themselves. We have families that are now struggling financially, for money. The thing is this, what I'm trying to tell you is we all go through things. We don't lay our baggage out so people can see. Think about what you go through. Think that you don't have a clue of what another person goes through, and if those words that you say to them, those things that you respond and you comment on, they can be used for good or they can be used for bad. And think about those things, because at the end of the day, if you can go home after this, and you can look in the mirror for a solid 60 seconds, no music on, no one with you, nothing around, look in your room, in your bathroom, close the door, I don't care. For 60 seconds, stare at the person that you see on the other side of that mirror. If you can look at yourself and you can feel good about who you are and how you represent yourself and how you treat other people, then you're doing a great job. If you can't, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be the longest 60 seconds you're ever going to have, because looking at that person, you know that there's things that you do that are rude or mean or cruel. But the thing is that none of us are perfect. We can make a difference from today to move forward to make that change. And that's what I want you to do, is use this story to empower you. Because I'll tell you what, guys, I am not a strong person. Sometimes people say, well, you're so strong, I couldn't do this, or I couldn't deal with that. We aren't given life on a platter. I'm not strong, I'm a survivor. I am somebody who decided I'm not going to let these things define who I am with tragedy or sadness. I can't do that. I have to take what that is and maybe make a change to help somebody else. And that's what I do. So I'm not the strong one. I sob, I cry, I feel sorry for myself at days. I go through that hour of feeling it's not fair. I still go through that, of course. But then I suck it up and look in the mirror and say, okay, I can't change that. But what we can do is change and help somebody else. And in the end, that's what the difference is. At the end of the day, the last thing I want you guys to understand is if anybody you know has talked to you about harming themselves, has talked about suicide, written, typed it, I don't care who it is, please tell a trusted adult. Please know that your voice, your emotion, the things that you feel are important. No one has a right to turn those down or act like it's not a big deal. If an adult says it's not a big deal, it's fine, don't worry about it. You go to another trusted adult, you call a hotline, you do whatever you need to do to help you. Because today might not be better, tomorrow might not be, but next month, the next year, things can get better in time. So if you have any questions, you have more, you can use anything off of our website. You can go to our Facebook account for any resources, things that you would like. So I appreciate you guys, and again, I hope that you use it to truly more empower yourselves every single day when you hear about the story and others. So I appreciate being here. Thank you very much. Have a great